Professor of Sculpture and the Vice Dean of the Faculty of Fine Arts at the Polytechnic University of Valencia. As I said, she's not here today, but her partner in research is Professor Manuel Lafarga, Professor of Music History at the Conservatory of Valencia. His doctoral thesis was devoted to polyphonic practices in ancient Greek and Roman music, and that was in 2017. He has taught both music and the history of aesthetics for more than 25 years at various higher education centers across Spain. His teaching and research explores neuroscience, human evolution, and ancient musicology. His research team, many of whom are here, I'm thrilled to say, has devoted the last 7 years to the wedding at Cana, beautiful canvas, which we're going to see quite a bit of, and maintains a webpage on the topic. Today, he will join us to discuss a funeral sung mass for Giorgione at San Giorgio Maggiore and his pending Venetian citizen right. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Lafarga.
Good morning. First time, many thanks to the 16th Century Studies Conference and the Scientific Committee, particularly to Jennifer Mada Silva and Luba Friedman, and equally to the audience for paying attention to our work. Our topic is a very relevant one for art history, specifically for Cinquecento and Venetian Renaissance, however it has been forgotten and ignored during near 5 centuries. To us, it is a privilege and of course a true pleasure to be here in Baltimore as emissaries or messengers of these two egregious characters. This will be alike our public posthumous tribute to both of them, especially at Maryland, the land of Mary. Giorgio de Castelfranco, named Giorgione, and his lost Venetian right, as the presentation's title points to, and Paolo Cagliari, named Veronese, who endured the countless changes suffered during 15 months by his own posthumous homage to his deceased colleague. The characteristic Veronese's maniera is well known. He has been called the Etruscan devil of mannerism by Stefano Zuffi, due to his ability for blending, inflecting, and articulating in the same scene both sacred and profane. In this case, perhaps the most notorious, thought the inclusion of a funeral sung mass, a peculiarly Venetian one, in the middle of a profane wedding, and the later at time included in the context of a biblical marriage, the first Jesus miracle according to John's Gospel. Our mother looks at this first original vocal ensemble as Giorgione's lost Venetian citizen right when he died early at Lazzaretto. However, the commission of Benedictine monks of San Giorgio Maggiore turned in a very tiring enterprise on a very frequented scaffold. Among other transformations, the author was compelled to mutate the nature and arrangement of the central musical ensemble up to 4 times, perhaps 5. As it can be observed from the radiographies of the canvas obtained in 1989. Some of these images were published by Louvre Museum 3 years later, in 1992, by Lola Fayan-Dumas. The only direct testimony for all these avatars comes from one of the monks, editor, historian, and poet, Benedetto Guidi, who contemplated the works daily from the beginning. He bequeathed us a brief poem alluding to the Veronese's canvas as Mille Dolci Errori, 1,000 sweet errors. He had assumed his votes at San Giorgio 14 years earlier, on March 21, 1551. He was a younger monk among the Benedictine authorities, to the viewer's right, who were responsible for the commission. He was 20 years old in 1562, and 32 when he wrote his poem 3 years later. There is one only mention for the presence of Giorgione in the canvas, the protagonist of the central scene as designed by Veronese in origin. 1 century after the commission, Jean-Baptiste Colbert, minister of the King of France, visited the monastery in 1671. Few years later, he left us a testimony which have been part of the legend till the edition of our own works. According to the Venetian monks, Giorgio de Castelfranco was also present at Canvas. The fact that any report of all that happened during the 15 months of Canvas completion has arrived to us is an extremely curious and notable one, with the exception of the two allotted sources. Both are direct because they origin from San Giorgio Maggiore, and the most relevant one even from an ocular witness. Moreover, attending both to the fact that the picture was immediately renowned from its beginnings in Italian lands and beyond, and that the refectory was continuously visited by international authorities, diplomatic and ecclesiastical, in addition to relevant artists comparable to Vasari's statue. The Florentine maestro visited Venice just 3 years later, and he did also the art gallery of Grimani family, where Giorgione's self-portrait was displayed. However, he did no mention of what we already have documented. We think that this ominous and near absolute silence in the historical sources, except for the few fragmentary legends previously documented by our works, could be linked to the identity of many of the guests for the biblical banquet, an intellectual network of coevals, those depicted in gray. All of them were high prelates and ecclesiastics, mainly Venetians, who advocated for the peace with reformed lands during the decades earlier to conclusion of the Council of Trent. We are showing the molding of their faces in yellow. However, it is probable that there are someone more. As they called themselves, the spirituali, were protected by the emperor himself and by the philo-imperial nobility in Italian lands, especially those Romans and Neapolitans, the Colonna, and also the Gonzaga. Some of our illustrious guests were persecuted by Roman authorities. Up to 13, as far as we know of them, those depicted in dark pink. 3 of them were processed, and 3 were not because of their earlier death, while another 7 were directly or indirectly executed, most of them earlier to conclusion of the Canvas and the Council of Trent. The composition shows the original consort with Benedetto Cagliari's left arm while holding the still non-existent miraculous wine, as these were the left arm of his own brother when Paolo Cagliari was a lutenist during the intermediate phase leading to second consort rearrangement. This second ensemble will be illustrated by my partners in the second part of this presentation, tomorrow, Saturday. At this moment, in fact, Benedetto was painting a small canvas, Modello, with his left hand in front of the Benedictine table. We are showing the series of successive chain consort which will be detailed by Penelope Sanz and Jorge Camarero, from the disappearance of the funeral mass and harpsichord till the ultimate violas da gamba consort with Diego Ortiz, which will not be detailed because it has been already analyzed in several previous publications. From the second consort up to the Canvas conclusion, all ensembles were already instrumental, composed of the same types arrangement registers. The 2 absent elements now are the harpsichord and the vocal quartet, beside the small canvas which was being painted by the author's brother. We will show it at the end of the presentation.